Hey everybody, Koricon here, and we're going to be talking about episode 4 of Breathe, the Amazon Prime web series. This one is called The Audition. These individual episode discussions are of course full of spoilers, so if you haven't seen the episode, please go watch it and then come back and we get to talk about it. But it starts out with Kabir reliving the nightmare of how his daughter shot herself with his gun. It is so devastating and greatly adds to Kabir's character, and you fully understand where he's coming from. Wonderfully acted sequence, but oh my gosh, so devastating when she's grabs the gun and she's looking at it. Oh my God, I had chills. It was so bad, but totally understandable. Now, in my spoiler-free review, I talked about how the supporting cast were all good actors. And that's really important for this show because there's a lot of scenes that just have the supporting cast. Either one or a couple of them by themselves, or they're in the police station talking with each other before Kabir shows up. And those scenes need to be carried by the supporting cast, and so you need good actors in them, otherwise the scene can fall apart. So they did a good job of getting supporting characters that were good actors, and I'm really glad to see that. Now we get to our new victim, donor number 3, and she is an aspiring actress. And they had a nice kind of self-aware sequence where she's talking to her father about work and mentioning the web series and how Indian cinema is changing. And I was like, okay, that's pretty self-aware for a web series to talk about the future of web series in Indian cinema. So I liked that scene. I was like, I see what you did there. Danny steals a phone and texts the donor number 3, the actress, about doing a rehearsal. And I thought that was a little bit sloppy. Now, it could be showing that he's becoming more bold in trying to take out these donors, and he's making some mistakes. Because if they looked at the phone records, it would show that if this was possibly a murder. And then that would make the donation of the organs negated. Now, he may be taking the risk that her body gets discovered and taken to the hospital and organs get taken out before they realize it's a murder. So I can see that. But then that also sets up to where he has a possibility of getting caught. Even though he stole the phone so he didn't do the text from his own phone, all they would really need to do is talk to the person whose phone got stolen and, they might figure that out from there. It would have been better for him to maybe get a burner to where he could do it from a burner, or be really sneaky while he was there pretending to be doing auditioning for the role, to where he stole someone's phone real quick to make that message to her, and then they got the phone back where they didn't know that the text came from them. And that would have been a bit better, and it pushes suspect onto somebody else. So even though I don't think that's a negative on the show, I just think for the character it's showing that he's becoming a little bit more sloppy as things are going along, because he's becoming more bold in his attempts to kill these donors. Danny goes over to her place and gives her a script which he wrote. And you find that out when they start doing the rehearsal, that she's saying the lines, and it's her that you saw in episode 1, in the beginning of episode 1. And you're like, this is where it comes full circle. But what they did great was the scene in episode 1 of her dying and then you see the guy walking away doesn't give away all of the information. And so even though they did it as a, 2 months earlier, it didn't come back and then you're just kind of waiting for the scene to be over because it's exactly the same. There's a lot of new information in that scene that still makes it fresh and interesting and Although you know the twist, you want to know how they got there, so it doesn't feel drawn out. Again, just like in the other donors' deaths, I like the way that he's trying to find something that would make somebody come to discover the body quickly. And in this one, it was having her order pizza, so the pizza guy would be the one to discover the body. I thought that was really smart, but again, still kind of sloppy, because why would she order pizza if she's going to kill herself? And so it makes the suicide suspect, and it really depends on, you're kind of riding that line of, are the cops going to put that together before the donation takes place? Or are they going to stop the donation because they suspect murder? It was also really smart for him to use the excuse that you need to clean the camera on the phone before filming it so that it looks good. And when he's doing that, he ends up wiping off all of his fingerprints. Just like I said in some other reviews, some other episodes, I love those little details. Doesn't take a lot of time, but you're like, oh, this is good. That was smart. But it was a nice little detail. You didn't have to do it, but it was nice that they did. So she does the dialogue, and he's like, it just doesn't feel real enough. He's like, maybe we should actually do it. And the smart thing to get her to do it, instead of her just being like, oh, okay, I'll suffocate myself with a stranger here. It was, he ties himself up and shows her exactly how to do it and how to wrap the cellophane around his head. And he does it, and while he's suffocating, she opens the cellophane and lets him breathe again. And he's like, see, it wasn't that hard. I'm not going to let you die. He's like, I can't let you die before you pay for the pizza. And I thought that was a funny little moment. And she's like, oh, okay, ha ha ha. And so she ends up doing it. But of course, she ends up really suffocating and dying, making it look like a suicide. Now, in this murder, Danny is showing less emotion than he did in the previous two. He's really starting to step down and getting used to it. To the point where, as she was suffocating, he's looking at his watch. He's becoming impatient, that she hasn't died yet. That was very creepy. And then, like I said before, I love that camera shot with the cellophane over the face, over the camera, and it's looking sideways, and you see Danny start to walk out and close the door. I thought that was a great shot at putting you in the position of the character without showing the character dying. So it adds creepiness without actually showing the violent death. So Kabir is going over the CCTV footage of donor number 2's death on the bike and notices the helmet is not attached to the back of the bike like it was when his body was found. And as he's looking at that, they bring in the footage of donor number 3's suicide. And they're like, oh, I can't believe she committed suicide. And they're watching the footage. And Kabir notices that she quickly looks behind the camera. And I thought that was a great touch, to where Kabir is showing that he's a great detective, even in his state of mind and alcoholism, that he's still a really good detective. Makes you wonder how good he would be if he was sober. But I love the fact that he noticed that little tidbit of her looking behind the camera real quick. And again, these small little details, they add up to where the writing for these episodes are very good. It makes it easy and believable that they would be able to figure out all of this stuff. There's no huge leaps in logic of how the detective will get to seeing that they're murders. It's not like some Sherlock Holmes where he just figures something out real quick and that's it. Like, they set up all these little details for him to put the pieces together. The writing is very good. They make it easily believable that he would be able to figure all this stuff out. There's no huge leaps in logic to artificially push the story. They use those little details that they set up before that Kabir can put the pieces together to figure out that it was murder. Then he goes to visit the doctor and makes the donor blood type connection that they were not accidents. And then they had the end of episode 4, which was so mind-blowingly awesome. They had a split screen where Danny on the left, Kabir on the right, and they're the exact same shots. So you have down at the hips where Danny is holding a picture, but you're seeing the white side. And Kabir is holding a flask. And they're walking at the same time, and you're seeing what they're holding. Then they get to a wall, and Kabir lifts the flask, and Danny lifts the picture. And he goes to take a drink of it as Danny puts the picture on the wall. And then Kabir sees the name of Raya on the donor list, and you see Raya's picture on Danny's wall, and he pins it to the wall. And you're like, oh, what? I loved it. I didn't quite see that coming, which is great for me because I can usually predict a lot of things that are going to happen. But what they did that made it harder to predict, usually when something like that happens, it's predictable when the character is not really set up that much. Like they're kind of just thrown in there. Like you kind of see them in episode 4, but not in any of the others. Or they're just mentioned, something like that. But having the divorce and being married to Kabir and all of the story about the daughter dying and interjecting Raya fit. It made sense with the whole series. So there was no reason for her to not be in it. And so when they have the reveal that she's one of the blood types, you're like, oh my gosh. I love the ending of episode 4. And I can see why they released 1 through 4 all at once. Because that is a great, huge story arc that ends in a cliffhanger and makes you ready for the second half of the season. Now, if you watch a lot of Indian movies, they have 2 intervals. Now, a lot of American movies or a lot of stories in general, even Indian movies, you have 3 acts. You have Act 1, Act 2, and Act 3. Act 1 sets up your characters and characterization, ends with the problem. Act 2 is dealing with the problem, and Act 3 is your solution and conclusion. But in Indian movies, they do that. However, in the middle of Act 2, they usually give you a cliffhanger. And then they separate Acts 1 and half of 2 into one interval. And then the second interval is the second half of Act 2 with Act 3. And so they're doing kind of that in this web series. The first half of the web series, 1 through 4, is the first interval. And then your second interval is going to be 5 through 8. So it's basically like an 8-hour movie. Well, more like 7 hours since each episode is 40 minutes. But like a 7-hour movie with 2 intervals. So it makes perfect sense that they would release episodes 1 through 4 all at once, get you hooked. And then now you have to watch episode 5, 6, 7, and 8. So I'm really excited to talk about the next 4 episodes. We'll have episode 5 out tomorrow, 6 on Wednesday, 7 on Thursday. And then we will end it where we'll go over episode 8 when it comes out on Friday. So stay tuned for all of those. I'm really excited. And comment below and let me know your thoughts on episode 4. Don't give away anything for the future episodes. I really want these videos to be a discussion of the episode we have and anything before, so that if somebody is watching them along with the show in the future, they don't get spoiled of anything. So let me know your thoughts. I have links in the description below for all of my stuff like social media and Patreon and whatever else is all down there. So if you have a question, it's probably answered in the description. And I also have a short thing at the end of this for the Stardust app. I'm really enjoying using that. If I get 5 new people to download the app, I get put in what they call a preferred program. to where my channel and everything gets put into marketing material, or has the possibility for that. And it would be a nice little boost for my channel, but I don't need it. If I don't get the 5 in 30 days, I'm not really worried about it. But I need 2 more. So if you're even interested in the app, download it and follow me first so I can get credit for the download. I would really appreciate it. If not, don't worry about it. But let me know your thoughts. Like, share, subscribe, and tell your friends. And I will see you on the next video. Quick promotion, everybody. I'm having fun using the Stardust app, which allows you to make up to a 30-second reaction to movies and TV shows. And I'd love to see your reactions and put them in my videos. If you're interested in that, download the Stardust app. I've got a link to it in the description below. And make sure to follow Koricon. And whenever you make a reaction, make sure that you tag Koricon so that I get notified and can see it. Whenever I make a reaction video or a movie review and I see your video, I will take clips from it and put them in my video. If you're a YouTuber, make sure to put your YouTube channel name on your reaction if you want free promotion. And if you're a fan of my channel and just want to be in there, great. So tag me on your reactions. And to be totally transparent and honest with you guys, when you download the Stardust app, the first person that you follow gets credit for the download. So if you want to follow me and give me credit, make sure that you follow me first. If you want to give your favorite YouTuber a credit, make sure that you follow them first. But either way, make sure that you follow me at some point and tag me in your reactions so I can get them in the videos.